Love playing mahjong with your family and friends? You're in luck. Gambling at home is set to be made legal this year. A 65-year-old bus driver has been arrested after a collision at Bukit Batok bus interchange left one bus on its side. And we're starting the week with our best moves. Can you guess what Dylan and I are up to? This is the Straits Times Newsnight. Good evening, I'm Chow Su An. For those of you who have weekly mahjong sessions at home with your family and friends, this might be news to you. Social gambling is illegal here. But lucky for you, Singapore is looking to legalize social gambling among family and friends, recognizing it as a socially acceptable practice as it presents a low risk to law and order. Among the criteria listed are the gathering must be for a social occasion and there is a real relationship among participants. The activity must also be conducted in enclosed areas of private residences. The Ministry of Home Affairs is seeking feedback from the public over its plans to amend gambling laws later this year. But online social gambling will still not be permitted due to enforcement difficulties. The public can submit feedback until August 10th. And now the day has finally arrived, the much-awaited July 12th. And just like many of us who are looking forward to dining out in larger groups, food and beverage businesses here are also excited for the reopening. But the past weeks have not been a walk in the park, especially with newer measures such as the need to ensure staff are regularly tested. Mr. Rohit Rupchan from the F&B group The Dandy Collection tells ST more.
So far it's been a little bit challenging just because it was very difficult for our supervisors to sign up and get slots for the courses. But as with anything new, we know that there are teething problems around it. I imagine that we will have teething problems once the first tests come through. We get the test done, we get the results. I imagine there'll be some issues, but as with all these things, the more often you do it, the easier it gets. So I imagine we'll be in a good place in a few weeks from now.
Now for an update on Singapore's COVID-19 situation. 26 new cases were confirmed today, the highest since June 17th. 8 of them were locally transmitted, with 5 linked and 3 unlinked. The remaining 18 infections were all imported. Now in other news, a 19-year-old caught on video last December doing a backflip inside a white rhino enclosure at the zoo was charged today with offences including vandalism. Ralph Wee had posted the video, which showed him leaping over a barricade and back onto the visitors' walking path on his TikTok account, an act described to be reckless and disrespectful to wildlife by Wildlife Reserve Singapore. Wee is also accused of 2 counts of mischief and 1 count of criminal trespass. He will be back in court on August 16th. Now, a foreign worker who ignored orders to stay put in hospital and later tested positive for COVID-19 has been sentenced to 9 months jail. In May last year, Indian national Balachandran Parthiban fled SGH after a swab test, despite being told that he could not leave. The police later caught him and he tested positive for the virus. A month later, he broke the law again after he fled his dormitory, which had been placed under isolation. Now let's take a look at what's been trending on social media today. We begin with condemnation of the racist abuse aimed at England players after they lost the final of Euro 2020 to Italy. Prince William, who is president of England's Football Association, said, "It is totally unacceptable that players have to endure this abhorrent behaviour." England manager Gareth Southgate also spoke out about the appalling comments on social media.
For some of them to be abused is unforgivable, really. I know a lot of that has come from abroad. You know, the people that track those things have been able to explain that, but not all of it. And it's just not what we stand for. We I think, have been a beacon of light in bringing people together, in people being able to relate to the national team, and the national team stands for everybody.
Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Bukayo Saka, who all missed penalties during the shootout, were targeted on social media after the game. Southgate said it was his decision who takes the penalties and not a case of players not volunteering or more experienced players backing out. The FA said that support will be given to the players affected and is calling on the UK government and social media companies to take robust action on the issue. And Black Widow is clearly one of the most anticipated films of the year. The Marvel Studios thriller debuted at more than $215 million globally in its opening weekend. The film brought in $80 million in the US, $78 million everywhere else, and over $60 million on Disney Plus Premier Access. Starring Scarlett Johansson, it's the first film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to open simultaneously in movie theaters and on Disney Plus. So impressive, but I'm not surprised. I must admit I haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait. Now you might just want to double check if you've got any old video games laying around before you throw them into the trash. $1.56 million US. That's how much someone paid for a cartridge of Nintendo's classic video game Super Mario 64. It's the first ever game cartridge to surpass $1 million at auction. It beat out the previous record achieved 2 days earlier when a sealed 1987 copy of The Legend of Zelda sold for $870,000 US. US-based Heritage Auctions, which handled both sales, have not identified the buyers. Now, would you pay that much for a video game? Let us know. And before we go, let's slip on our dancing shoes. As part of National Day 2021's Dance of the Nation initiative, we are all invited to submit our own dance workout videos and be a part of this year's celebrations while keeping safe. You can visit the Get Active Singapore website for more information. Here's Dylan and I practicing for our own Dance of the Nation submission earlier today. Check it out.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Don't laugh, please. Neither of us are dancers, clearly. But if you think you can do better, submit yours. Now that wraps up the Straits Times Newsnight. Do visit straitstimes.com to see more news and videos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the button below. Keep safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.